All right, lesson 4-5, dividing fractions and mixed numbers. What we learned about adding and subtracting, we kind of had to toss aside when we learned about multiplying. Well, now we're going to learn something different about dividing while still remembering those multiplication rules. So, how do we divide fractions? Here we're talking about fractions only, numbers less than 1. We are going to change all of our fraction division problems into multiplication problems. But in order to do that, remember we've talked before that math has a balance. If you change a sign, you're going to have to change something else. There's always got to be that balance. So, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. What is the reciprocal? The reciprocal is the flip of the fraction. So here's an example. If we had 9/10 divided by 27/50, we're going to keep the first, we're going to keep that first fraction, change our sign, and multiply by the reciprocal. That means we're going to take the 27/50 and flip it over. Okay? Now, we can do just like we did with the multiplying. We can cancel if possible. Do we have any numbers here who have compatible factors? Well, right off the bat, I see that 10 and 50 could be divided by 10. So if I take this number, I would reduce it by dividing by 10 and I get 5. And this one would become 1. 9 and 27 also have common factors. In fact, a common factor of 9. So 9 divided by 9 is 1, and 27 divided by 9 is 3. So now I want to multiply. 5 times 1 is 5, and 3 times 1 is 3. Now you'll notice that's improper, so I would need to reduce, rename. That's always something we do. How many 3's in 5? 1 with 2 left over. So 2, and we never change our denominator when we're doing that. 1 2/3 would be our answer. So we have to remember our rules for multiplying. That would be cancel when possible, multiply straight across, both top and bottom, reduce and rename when necessary. But the first step is to change the division problem into multiplying with the reciprocal. So here's our remember. This is what we want to remember. Keep the first fraction. You can't flip whichever one you want to. You have to keep the first fraction. Change the sign and then flip or use the reciprocal of the second fraction. Now, what if we have mixed numbers? If we have mixed numbers, then we have to first change the mixed and whole numbers into improper fractions. So if we had 2.5 and we were dividing by 1 2/4. Okay? First step, change them into impropers. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 more is 5. 5 halves. Change 1 2/4 into improper. 4 times 1 is 4, 2 more is 6. 6/4. Now, the next step, change division to multiplying with the reciprocal. So remember, it's keep, change, meaning the sign, and flip. So we're going to put the 4 on top. We're going to put the 6 on the bottom. Then we use our multiplication rules. Is there anything that we can cancel? Well, there is. And you might notice that there's more than one thing we could cancel. I could cancel between the 4 and the 6. I could cancel between the 2 and the 4. It doesn't matter which one you do. So I'm going to divide by 2. And I'm going to reduce this also by dividing by 2. Now, what do you notice? Here's a 2, and here's a 2. They're still able to cancel them. I can divide them by 2. So I can reduce again on that number, and I can reduce this one with it. Any numerator with any denominator. So now I'm ready to actually multiply. Straight across, 5 times 1 is 5, both numerator and denominator. 3 times 1 is 3. Now I have an improper fraction. I always reduce or rename when necessary. So 1 2/3. Not sure it's going to let me write this down here. There we go. 1 2/3. All right, so we have several steps on dividing. You have to keep them straight. It might help to actually say them out loud. There are going to be some people who might be able to go from this first written problem into the keep, change, flip in one step, but I would caution you to maybe make yourself do it the other way, maybe a problem or two, before you start trying to do it all at one time. Some people can do that better than others. You should be able to figure out what's best for you. All right, let's practice them.